We are dairy farmers. It's our source of pride. And isn't it an interesting time to be a dairy farmer? Have we ever had so much ongoing attention by the pundits in the public sphere? Not all of it good, most of it not. And that, my friends, is a pity. We have fiscal cliffs, austerity, bailouts of entire countries. We have agricultural sectors in this country that are suffering. We see dairy farmers around the world not meeting their cost of production. And yet, in this sea of economic turmoil for farmers around the world, we continue, even today in the National Post, to be slammed as barriers to this and barriers to that. And my friends, that is not acceptable. Supply management is a stable, predictable, sustainable, unsubsidized marketing and production system that allows us as dairy farmers to gain our fair share and decent compensation out of the marketplace. And that is something we should be proud of, Canadians should be proud of, and the press should be proud of. It's something, ladies and gentlemen, that all the candidates of the Liberal Party should be proud of. But instead, to gain attention, they attack supply management. The pundits that write about our system so negatively don't look beyond the Canadian borders to see what happens when you have deregulation. And we have continuing examples of the suffering, the pain, and the trauma that takes place in farm families around the world when deregulation happens and farmers can no longer pay their bills. The latest one is Australia. 2 weeks ago in Australia, the farmers said, "We have had enough." And there were tractor convoys blocking the driveways to retail outlets because they said, "We need 5 cents more." Imagine that, just 5 cents more. But it wasn't only the farmers that blocked the driveways to the retail outlets. It was the entire communities that depend on farm businesses that aren't getting paid either that rallied behind farmers. And that's the success story of deregulation in Australia. We have now suicide lines for dairy farmers in various areas of the world because farmers can no longer pay their bills, and that for them seems to be the only way out. Why do we continue as dairy farmers in Canada being attacked for a system that works so well for farmers, for consumers, for processors, for governments? An industry that actually contributes tax money to the economy. Why? Why don't they spend that ink and that space in the paper trying to find solutions for the sectors in our country that aren't making money? The pork sector, for example. My fellow farmers, your fellow farmers, they may be in a different sector, but they are enduring a lot of stress because they can't make a living in what they love to do. But you never hear the pundits talking about that. Why not? Why don't we look for positive answers? Instead, no, we get the blame. We get the blame when we were in the World Trade Organization discussions, we were getting the blame. Supply management is the cause for the World Trade Organization not being able to conclude successfully negotiations. And that's sort of gone away because the WTO has all the characteristics of a downer cow. Seriously. We feed it, we look after it, we care for it, we provide resources for that animal, and they provide resources for the WTO to keep it alive, to keep it breathing. And it's a drag on our farms, and it's a drag on the international community, and there is no resolution. And so countries have said, enough of the WTO. We are going into bilateral negotiations, multilateral negotiations, and we are going to find a different way to take down trade barriers because the WTO was unsuccessful. Well, we have a code of conduct as part of our pro-action initiative that gives us recommended and required practices how to care for dairy animals. And one of those options for dealing with a downer cow is to put it out of its misery, humanely. Perhaps that's what we need to do with the WTO, but supply management isn't the reason that WTO didn't happen, that it wasn't successfully concluded. So now we're on to the TPP, and we're on to CETA, and we're on to other bilateral negotiations. And again, the pundits are saying supply management is the barrier to successful conclusion of trade agreements. And that is not the case. Our minister today is defending supply management in the CETA negotiations, so he can't be with us because the government of Canada says, in spite of what's out there in the press and in spite of what the pundits are saying, we believe in supply management, we will support supply management, and we will tell the world that we have a balanced trading position that will look for opportunities for export sectors while defending our domestic interests, especially supply management, because it works for Canadians. So I'm thankful for what the government is doing on our behalf this very day. Supply management, though, depends on three pillars, and one of them is under a bit of erosion. And we've lobbied on that note for the last couple of days, and that is the issue of leaky borders. If we don't have strong border protection to keep designer products out of our market that displace Canadian production, it doesn't matter how much we support supply management at the highest levels in trade negotiations, our system still will not endure. Last July, I received a letter from the minister that I read out to the council that they would look for short-term options to deal with the pizza food topping situation. Those went out the door about in a week. They also said that they would work with Dairy Farmers of Canada to look for longer-term options so we could prevent designer products designed especially to circumvent those tariff rate lines from entering Canada outside of the spirit of negotiations that have been successfully concluded with other countries. I would like to remind the government that border measures are critical for the sustainability of supply management. And I look forward to continuing to work with the government, but I would like to see them move more quickly so that we can address this issue. We have the code of practice in our pro-action initiative. We've talked about that in the last couple of days. A suite of programs that we think will allow us to enter into a social contract with society to respond to their demands. Society cares how we look after our animals. Society cares about food safety, so we have CQM. And soon, we will have all farms in Canada registered on that program. Society cares about biosecurity standards. And yesterday, the government announced new biosecurity standards for this industry after having consulted, and I mean really consulted with us right across the country and at our board to determine what would work best for the industry in response to the challenges of trying to maintain the health of our farms, the health of our animals, and limit the spread of contagious diseases. We have, and I congratulate you, as a country, reached the new threshold for Canadian somatic cell count limits in our product of 400,000. Congratulations and thank you. But it's what consumers expect. They want to know that when they're buying Canadian, they're buying quality, and we're delivering. On traceability, consumers want to know where their food comes from. And we have in our industry and are working towards the ability to trace exactly where that food product on that consumer's plate actually originated. They want to know that not only are we environmental stewards as Canadian farmers, but we believe in environmental sustainability. That we are doing our best, our utmost, to limit the requirements, the energy requirements, the water requirements, and reducing our carbon footprint in trying to get to a place where we can say to consumers, we are doing our part, we are going above and beyond our environmental farm plans to do what you expect from us. That social contract responds to societal demands and societal expectations. Today we have our brand with that little blue cow logo that says 100% Canadian milk. So when we have consumers that go out and buy product that is stamped with that brand, they know that they're buying 100% Canadian milk, and they are buying a product that is produced from Canadian farms and Canadian farms only, without any other ingredients from any other jurisdiction. And that, for me and for all of us, should be a source of pride. I talk about the suite of programs, Pro-Action Initiative, and that for me is a source of pride, because as we develop those programs, and all of them are already independently in different stages from each other, will provide us more capital for our brand. And as we get into developing our Pro-Action Initiative program with a deadline date of 2020, we can say to consumers, not only does that brand mean 100% Canadian milk, it means all of the aforementioned items. It means that we care about what you care about as consumers. That's a really cute little blue cow. And I think we can milk it for a lot more than we have in the last number of years. And I would like to thank those of the processing sector who have grabbed onto this program and are working with Dairy Farmers of Canada to promote 100% Canadian milk and the brand that consumers can understand that when they see that, it means 100% Canadian, and it means Canadian dairy farms, and it means sustainability for dairy farmers in Canada, and it means success. We have for some time now relaxed our energy level, I would say, in terms of driving our brand forward. Because not everyone is happy with how we are approaching branding Canada, branding supply management, branding Canadian dairy farmers as our source of pride. I would today invite any consensual, willing partner to join in us on our journey as we ramp up our efforts as dairy farmers of Canada to drive forward and promote the brand of 100% Canadian, so we can build the brand with the political capital, with the social capital that we are looking for in terms of alerting the consumers that this means all of what I've talked about in Pro-Action Initiative. We are starting now. So if you want to ride on our bus with us, talk to me after the conference. If you don't, the bus will leave the station without you. It's your choice. There's one element missing from Pro-Action Initiative. One element. And that, my friends, is national pooling. You knew I was going to get to that sooner or later. I have, for the last year, been working with chairs of various provinces, chairs of all the provinces, the Board of Dairy Farmers of Canada, to try and push forward the concept of a national pool so that we can become more efficient, more effective, more streamlined, and react more quickly to decisions that have to be made outside of responding to a crisis. So I'm asking us all to be proactive, to take the initiative. And no, it's not part of the suite of programs, it's a standalone proactive initiative, but it's one that is critical to the success long-term of our industry here in Canada. And I am not going to stand here and lecture you again on all the reasons why we should be going there. But we're 12,500 farmers across the country. And as one chairman in one province so aptly put it, we no longer have provincial answers to provincial problems, because provincial problems and provincial challenges need national solutions. We have a world that is shrinking because of globalization. And yet in the dairy industry, somehow, we believe that as 10 different provinces, we can protect our sovereignty and still hold on to a national system called supply management. And that, my friends, doesn't work. It's up to us. We can do it. We have a way forward. And I'm asking you, as leaders of the industry, to embrace this challenge. Look at it as an opportunity. Don't push back. And say, together, we're better for the next 20 years. Let it be all of our source of pride, because we are dairy farmers. Thank you.